Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is looking very dry and it is looking reasonably mild for most. There could be a bit of fresher air coming in later this week, maybe a few overnight frosts for Scotland and some northern regions, but generally we are seeing the best conditions we can possibly see for late October and early November. There could be a bit of drizzle around as well, but again, bone dry for most. As we head into the longer range, we continue to see this high pressure dominance, and it could last for much of the next week or two. And once again, we are seeing relentless runs appearing, showing the high pressure not going anywhere. It does come under strain at times, with some weak weather fronts passing by, maybe low pressure getting closer, but never beating out the higher pressure. And the three operational runs we'll look at today all have high pressure from the first image all the way to the last, from zero all the way to the end of the runs. Pretty ridiculous, and the same could be said for the ensemble charts, which again show pretty much above average temperatures by around 4 or 5 degrees and high pressure bone dry conditions for the next week or two. It is pretty incredible, and I must say this video is probably not going to be all too long because there's not too much to update you on, if we're being completely honest, as things again are looking completely, as I said, high pressure dominated. So do remember, if you enjoy the videos, which you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see it again, it is a bone dry evening, a few little bits of drizzle for parts of Scotland and maybe for northern England, and all this is a bit of thicker cloud, allowing that little bit of drizzle to drift through the air at the moment. So again, we could see drizzle over the next few days. Again, could happen anywhere, but most 90% will remain dry. Of course, with a bit of more of that milder air around over the coming days, there could be some morning dew as well. So again, it could be a little bit wet in places, but precipitation falling out the sky, we should see very, very little. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you can see it is fairly mild this evening. We're in this around 8 PM. Again, it's not warm. Temperatures aren't going to get much above sort of the mid-teens this week, but for late October, early November, I can't stress that is very, very positive. It's difficult to look at the next sort of week or two and sort of properly acknowledge how great it's going to be compared to what we can see this time of year, because of course we're coming off the back of summer where we were seeing 20+ degrees every single day for most of the country, lots of dry, warm sunshine. So relative speaking, this is actually pretty poor. But compared to the unsettled, stormy conditions we can see that are becoming relentless this time of year, this really is pretty perfect. Now, if you go to through to the latest UKV now, you'll be able to see, again, it is a bone dry for the next 5 days. You can see as we head into Wednesday, again, no precipitation at all during the day, bit of sunshine breaking through, which would be very nice. And as we head into Thursday, there could be again a little bit of drizzle further northwards for western Scotland and for the far north of Scotland, as we do see weak transient weather fronts. But again, if we're being completely honest, it is perfect bone dry for England and Wales, and sunshine coming through. And of course, being Thursday, the 31st of October, it is Halloween. It is great, much better than it has been in past years. Can't get a better forecast for Halloween than this. And you can see it continues through the evening and looks great. The only place where it could rain on Halloween it is potentially western and northern Scotland, where is this weak weather front. Now that weak weather front drifts southwards, but it disintegrates away through Friday morning, the 1st of November, and for most during the afternoon there's a bit of drizzle and thicker cloud from the remnants of that weather front, but again it is pretty dry. There is some slightly chillier air in the north and east that could bring some frost, as I said, later this week, but as you can see as we head into Saturday, it's another very dry day, a bit of sun breaking through, and the same can be said for Sunday, where eventually quite a lot of sunshine could break through for the afternoon, as we see a bit more drier air moving in, meaning less cloud, less dew. So yeah, it looks even more positive there. But of course, the temperatures would take a little bit of a hit, maybe only 10 or 11 degrees there. Now, if you look at the max temperatures over the coming days, as we head into Wednesday, look at that, 14, 15 degrees, quite widely the top temperature. As we head into Halloween, the afternoon, widely sort of 10 to 16 degrees, and around that sort of 6, 7, 8 p.m. point, most are around the 10 to 13, maybe a few dipping down to 8 or 9. So again, it is pretty mild. Into Friday, the first day of November, again, mild further southwards, especially 13, 14 degrees, but for the far north and northeast, much colder, maybe down towards sort of the mid-single digits and towards freezing overnight, and that's because there is some slightly colder air moving in. Again, uncertain how far southwards and inland this will go, but you can see it is just skimming those northern and eastern regions at this stage. Into Saturday morning, again, fresher for all, sort of high single digits into the low double digits by the afternoon. So again, chillier, but again, hovering really around average, not too bad. And the same could be said for Sunday, where again, hovering more around that sort of 9 to 11 degree mark, so around average for the time of year. And that is more due to the fact that we got that fresher, drier air coming in off the near continent. See, there are some slight alterations over the next 5 days, slightly changing air masses, slightly changing levels of moisture in the air, but if we're being completely honest, it is looking like a very positive outlook for the rest of this week. And that is likely to continue into the longer range. Now, if you start on the latest GFS, high pressure is built in at the moment, and it's going to continue to dominate for the next 5 or 6 days. It could come under a bit of strain early next week by a bit of low pressure out to our west, but eventually the high pressure rebuilds in and just controls all the way to the end of this run. Again, maybe some brief lower pressure in the far north, but towards 384 hours, it is looking dry and mild. If you compare to the latest GM, broadly very similar. High pressure has built in and will continue to dominate all the way through towards day 10. Again, could be some brief lower pressure next week, but generally, again, high pressure completely in control. And if we do zoom in, look at the accumulated precipitation, you can see for most, very little. Just a bit of heavy rain in the last couple of days here from that transient low pressure system. And if we actually do go back to the GFS, again, you can see it is very dry. Again, a little bit of rain in the far west from a few transient weather fronts right at the end of this run. But again, for England and Wales, again, we're seeing some areas with 0, which is almost unheard of for 384-hour time frame from a GFS run. And I'm saying unheard of just for any time of the year, not at the time of the year when we kind of expect to see lots of rain, sort of early to mid-November. So again, can't emphasize how amazing this sort of these sort of runs are. Finally, if we compare to the ECMWF, again, high pressure building in at the moment, and again, dominate all the way out to day 10. Again, transient weather front keep trying to nudge in from the west, but again, high pressure in control. Accumulated precipitation out to day 5 here. The 240 hours hasn't fully updated for the accumulated precipitation, but again, it is near enough 0 for most of the British Isles. And to finish, we can see on the latest ensembles, it is high pressure dominance. The next week, pretty much 0 precipitation spikes, 0 little tremors from the GFS ensembles. A few picking up around the 5th or 6th of November and beyond, but again, that's just uncertainty that develops in that longer range period. But you can see again, dry and mild. Upper air temperatures around that 5 degrees above average. So again, looking very positive indeed. Right to the longer range, a few colder runs appear, but again, nothing to sort of take note of yet, as expected in those longer range periods where uncertainty starts to build. Now, finally, if we compare to the ECMWF, again, broadly very similar, hovering around average or above average in terms of temperature, a good sort of 4 or 5 degrees at best, close to average at worst, and again, very little precipitation incoming, pretty much the same as the GFS. And then just to finish, looking at the GFS for Glasgow, very similar, very little precipitation over the next week, upper air temperatures above average. You can see that we do see a little bit more precipitation perhaps late next week, and I think that's just because the further northwards you go, the closer we are to the jet stream, so the smaller deviation we need in the higher pressure to see that rain return. Again, we'll have to wait and see how it does develop, but at the moment it is looking really quite pleasant indeed. And yeah, don't really have much more to say. I think given how little is going on, we'll probably have a winter update, a winter look ahead in the next couple of days, as we've been putting that off for the last couple of weeks. Last one was a couple of weeks ago, so we are due to put another update out, and we should be having that come out in the next few days. So do watch out for that. But for the time being, until anything major changes, is looking bone dry and really quite pleasant. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.